All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Healthy Tampa Bay podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kerry Reller, and today we have Dr. Faryal Mallick. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're very excited to hear everything that you have in store for us today. So, like I always like to start out, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am a triple boarded child, adolescent, adult, and forensic psychiatrist. And I have a practice in Carrollwood in Tampa, Florida. It's called FMP Family Psychiatry. And I've expanded my practice into a mental health spa, which is it's called FMP Mental Health Spa, and it is basically a sanctuary for your mind. So I wanted to help people holistically, and so that was the idea behind it. However, I do see patients for medication management and therapy, and I'm trained in therapy. So I see people virtually and in person. So in person is in Tampa, but I am licensed in Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Illinois, and I'm forgetting a state, but yes, in several states. So Oklahoma. So there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It takes a lot to keep up all those licensures. So being able to reach out to such a widespread, population, I think is obviously wonderful that you can help so many other people. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I've never heard this term mental health spa. So I'm so excited to hear, what that entails. I don't know if you want to start with your personal journey with everything, or if you wanted to say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I can start with the spa part of it. So basically, the concept was we have so many medical spas opening up, and they
Mhm.
offer a lot of, Botox and just kind of like outer appearance things. And so that's where the came from. Instead of like calling it a retreat or something like that, I wanted to utilize that term and call it a mental health spa. So it is a spa, but it is for your mind. So it's for your inner beauty rather than outer beauty. And so that's where the spa concept came from. And yes, it kind of came out of my personal journey. Once I completed all of my training, I recognized that I was just exhausted and my body I was out of shape, but not just out of shape as in I was at an unhealthy weight, but I was not feeling good. So, I was just not healthy overall. And I wanted to like kind of get into self-care and I wanted to feel healthy and energetic. So basically, as soon as I moved to Tampa, I of course got into my own therapy. So I found myself a therapist. And then I found myself a personal trainer. I don't like working out, so that I needed somebody to come and be like, get out of bed and work out. So that's why I got a personal trainer. And thirdly, I started going to this place called Stretch Lab for assisted
Hmm.
stretching. And I recognized that all three of those things in combination really helped my body just, feel good. And not just my body, but mentally, I started to feel much stronger, much healthier, more available to my patients and family and friends. And
Mhm.
so, I recognize that those were important parts of your health that, we kind of ignore and your mental health, not just your physical health, but your mental health as well. And
Mhm.
so that was my own personal journey with it. And I'm happy to answer more questions to help out, like, kind of understand why the spa.
Mm. Well, I love that, you're able to, share your journey, but also that you went to get help too, right? So sometimes, your psychiatry, but do you also use the services? And it's so nice to see that, like, it's okay, right? To go get help, get your own therapist if needed. And I really love the idea of this. I never heard this like concept of being out of shape, like emotionally, mentally as well. And I think you're so right, right? So there's the physical shape, but also like the mental health shape and making sure you're in a, safe and comfortable and happy space. So I think that's a really interesting way to put it. But it's wonderful that you were able to seek out those sources and that you knew that you needed them, right? which I
Yeah.
think is important. And I really like the idea of the mental health spa too. You're right. Everybody is so focused on this outer beauty, but like there's so much inside that could be shared and wants to be improved and make that healthy too, right? So very, very cool concept as well. And so I think that with your expertise and your personal journey and everything like that, you had this concept that you wanted to share today called like mini vacation. So where did that all come from?
Yeah, so again, some of personal experience and some just hearing from my patients, friends, other physicians, basically we feel like, oh, we're so burnt out, we want to go on a vacation. This I learned a long time ago because especially during training, we're so busy, like literally living from vacation to vacation. So I would always, and I love the beach, so I was always like trying to get away to the beach and looking forward to my next trip. But I would come back and I was right back where I was. Actually, had to catch up on a lot more emails and a lot more work waiting for me. And so I recognize, and this was an interesting thing that I landed upon. I started taking pictures and I started taking pictures of nature. And so I would, they say that the best camera is the one on you. So I did have a nice camera, but then I had my phone. So anytime I would see like a flower or something pretty, I would just pull out my phone and take a picture of it. That helped me calm down for just a moment, take a breath, and just slow down and be present. And I recognize that just being at home in my routine, at my work, I was able to take these mini breaks and give myself a chance to recover rather than looking forward to the next trip to get away and find my mental peace. And so that's where the idea came of mini vacations, basically, while we're here at home in the hustle bustle, getting stuck in traffic, trying to rush from one place to the other for parents, work to picking up our kids to taking them to extracurricular activities, for physicians, one clinic to another hospital, wherever we're working, just rushing, so there's just a lot of stress that's created just from daily life. And, slowing down just where we are gives us a moment to breathe and making that a habit rather than waiting for time off or, getting away, taking the time once a week, starting with maybe once a month, and then making a routine of doing that once a month to where you slow down, just take a breath and be in the present moment. That was the idea of mini vacations, that you're taking a vacation, but it's just mini while you're still here in the hustle bustle of your normal life.
That's not where I thought you were going. So I really like that idea. So I think that, I find myself sometimes living weekend to weekend, and I think a lot of people do that, right? And maybe that's because I don't have the next trip planned or something like that. But
Mhm.
this is such a great concept where you can really take that pause and appreciate one where you are present, like you said, but also I like the idea of taking the picture and then
Mhm.
appreciating nature. And, I think that's a beautiful concept of like taking a picture of a flower, or I don't know what else right now. I don't have a great example because I don't live in the mountains and I'm thinking mountains, but like you said, the beach or something like that. So
Mhm.
I think it's really nice to learn to take that pause and appreciate everything. Or sometimes I will find myself taking like a funny picture of my kids for whatever they're
Mhm.
doing at the time and trying to really appreciate that moment, especially because time is flying. They're growing so fast and quickly.
Yeah.
And, it's getting a little sad as I'm about to donate a bunch of car seats today. So it's the same idea, right? Of pausing
Mhm.
and really being present in the moment and I guess even capturing it as well,
Mhm.
which I think is really nice.
Yeah, and for, parents, but also just us as human beings, we're always present for other people. Like we take out time for other people, but we forget to take out time for ourselves. Now, I love getting my nails done. They're done right now. But they have like getting nails done is a chore that I'm just like sitting there and like, trying to like, oh, can you hurry up and get it done, right? It's a very uncomfortable seat, so it's not really relaxing. And a lot of stuff that we do, just like I do get my nails done, Botox, weight loss medication vacation, whatever it is, I think it is great. We should be doing and taking care of our outer beauty, but we are also putting ourselves in pain when we're doing that. So it's not a mental relief per se, all these injections and stuff that we're getting to get that outer beauty. And so, that is taking out time for yourself, but not truly, right? Like, we're there for our kids. We want to make sure that they're good. We're there for our partners. We're there for friends and family, whatever they need. But we forget that our own mental health, our own peace is also important. And taking
Mhm.
time out for yourself, I don't know how much you do that over the weekend, but that's another thing, right? Even if you're living weekend to weekend, it's usually like, oh, my kid has like a sports game on Saturday, so I'm running to that. Or we have like, a thing for them or like a family gathering and where I maybe don't even want to go, but I'm going because it's a family gathering. And so that also, like, how much time are you taking out for just you being
Mhm.
present with your own breath, your own, just in that moment, letting your thoughts just kind of relax and everything being silent and present.
Yeah, so I'll just share, yes, I am running to sports all the time and things like that, but my moment for myself is more of I like exercising, so it's probably
Mhm.
more that. So I'll make
Mhm.
sure to get my run in on Sunday morning, and there are definitely days where I don't get to do it, or I like doing like a leg day workout on Saturday, and it just feels so good. And at least if I get it done before their sports, at least I did that thing for myself, and then there tends to be piles of laundry on the weekend, and I will take that time to listen to something that I like to listen to while I do it, unless my kids are hanging out with me and helping. But otherwise, I would be listening to I don't know, a podcast or an audiobook or something while
Mhm.
I'm doing the folding laundry, and that really helps me do that as well.
Mhm.
You mentioned making it a habit. So how can you make like taking this time out a habit without making it feel like a chore or a
Mhm.
checkbox? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So mindset change, right? We need to make breathing, taking a breath. Now, we do breathe, obviously, that's how we're alive, but slow down and just pay attention to our breath. A part of normal living, just how, you're exercising, right? You're drinking water, you're eating, right? So even all of those activities while you're doing that, are your thoughts where, you are present, or are they running to the next thing? What do we need to do next? Or what happened the day before or an hour before, right? So that is where the change needs to happen, is that we pay attention to where we are and making that a habit. It's very hard. It takes a lot of time, but just slowing down while we're doing these activities, paying attention to what we eat. That's something we do, right? But we're trying to just stuff. I've done this where I'm going from one location to the other and grabbing something real quick and eating it in the car because I just don't have time to eat. And I like, are you paying attention to what you're putting in your mouth? Like, are you actually smelling it, slowing down to eat it? Even when we're with our family, a lot of families will put television on, or at the dinner table, just be paying attention to something else rather than what you're eating. How does it taste? How does it smell? What is the sensation when you're picking your food up, right? All of those things. And what you're doing this, it's just a mindset change that you're actually paying attention to what you're doing, what you're eating, so that can start with just the things you already do rather than adding new things.
That's true. Yeah.
So start with where you're at, what you're already doing, and once you slow down and recognize things, you will also want to add other things that maybe, art, and kind of like you said, your running, your mind-body connection, right? That running, your leg day, it's all affecting your mind as well, not just your physical health. Like you said, it makes you feel
Mhm.
good, right? But stopping your thoughts from going here and there, right? Just bringing it to that moment, what it smells like around you when you're running, how pretty it looks. I know you said that you think about mountains, but literally you can catch the clouds outside. I had a friend visit and she was like, the sky in Florida always looks beautiful, right? You just look outside at how pretty the clouds are even when you're driving or stuck in traffic, rather than getting frustrated with the traffic, looking outside, it's beautiful, even though we're stuck in traffic, right? Taking a deep breath of how pretty nature is and just being present, less frustrated, and just being like, oh, I got this moment stuck in traffic to actually pay attention to things around me and take a breath.
Mm. Yeah, I really believe that you do need to kind of be purposeful about it. I mean, maybe at some point it can become second nature, no pun intended, but I also find myself, doing those kind of things that you're saying, right? I'll be
Mhm.
in traffic or driving to a soccer pride or something, and then I'm like, hey, tell the kids like, hey, look out the window, look at the clouds, look at the beautiful sunset, right? So I try to include them in whatever I'm thinking when it's something physical to look at, and I think that's important. And you also said something that I discuss with patients a lot because I do a lot of weight management care.
Mhm.
And I think that, connecting back with the food, right? Like sitting down without distraction, eating, tasting, smelling, taking your time, eating left-handed if you need to, like all those little tricks that make you really realize and enjoy what you're eating, even if it is healthy, right?
Yeah.
That it is, you can be so much more appreciative and in the moment. Now,
Mhm.
to admit I am completely guilty also of what you said. I go from one office to the other twice a week and I'm shoving it down and I don't know,
Mhm.
just get on going. It could be in the car. So I'm totally guilty about it as well. But it's one thing that I know I am not good at practicing what I preach, right? And I try my best to be intentional about it as well. But
Mhm.
it is definitely a great concept, especially with managing, food intake and things like that, to be, conscious about what you're doing and really listening on what's going on inside
Mhm.
too, if
Yeah,
any. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and then, once you've added those little things, then slowly, maybe taking just half an hour, 45 minutes for yourself to do yoga, right?
Mhm.
To, get out and like find something. There's so many places now that have this where it's not just like yoga for exercise. They actually want you to pay attention to your body and just relax. And once you are doing all those things, and also like you have kids, right? Involve them, just like you said, like look outside. You can actually take your kids with you. The sooner they build these habits, the better, right? Of like taking care of you, paying attention to your body. Yes, sports is great, that physical activity and going fast, but then things that slow you down, those are also important. Even if it is like a routine once a week or once a month, there is a few hours that you just leave for doing something mindful, slow down, like I said, a mini vacation rather than that's like 3 hours long, rather than waiting for 3 days that you will, I don't know, get whatever, right, for vacation.
Yeah, I mean, even just like a walk outside as a family on the weekend, because we can't squeeze it in during the week. But, I
Mhm.
think that is a great example of something you can do as well. So interestingly enough, you mentioned Stretch Lab, and they actually have one of those in our complex. And I was trying to get the owner to come on the podcast. But anyway, how do you think that helped you? Would you say it's kind of like what you're talking about with the yoga?
Yeah, so actually, while I was still in training, I started going to a massage therapist in Atlanta, and he would do some assisted stretching during the massage. And that felt so much more relieving than the massage itself because you get a massage and actually you walk out and you're feeling good and relaxed, and then your muscles become sore right after. The next day you're just like, oh my God, I hurt. So with this assisted stretching, actually, that's not what happens. It basically is, yes, a lot of people know how to stretch themselves, but somebody holding your stretch for you actually helps release the tension a lot more. They're actually reminding you to take deep breaths as they're holding the stretch for a certain amount of time. We forget, like, we're human beings. We just want to stretch really quickly and go away. But even when what do they call them, flexologists or stretch therapists, whatever you want to call it, while they might be having a conversation with you, but at the same time, As soon as they hold you in that stretch, they're like, take three deep breaths. And so you can't talk. You're taking those deep breaths and paying attention to that, right? So it slows you down, but also the stretch itself releases a lot of the tension that you're holding. So I'm going to talk from a mental health standpoint, right? Not so much the physical. There's a lot of physical benefits to it, but from a mental health standpoint, you're carrying a lot of stress in your shoulders. If you have a sitting job, in your lower back, you're not getting up, walking enough. And if you are, you're just not stretching before you run, not enough. And so it helps literally release all that stress and trauma. We carry trauma in our bodies. There is a wonderful book that's the title The Body Keeps Score. And it talks about how your body's keeping all this stress in it, carrying it. And so this is a great physical way of releasing it. It is, to me, more relaxing than a massage and lasts longer as well.
Mhm. Very interesting. Yeah, I will say I stretched more than normal this morning and it felt very good. And
Mhm.
I would think that someone helping you also would make it a little less painful when you're doing it as well.
Mhm.
But you're right, there's so much more than just the physical benefit from it as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you mentioned some other simple everyday like mini vacations that patients or listeners can do. Can you mention some more that maybe might be helpful that they can start today?
Yeah, yeah. So, again, like I said, take a pause like evening, right? When you get home, just take a walk out in your backyard, take your shoes off, just be in the grass, grounded, your feet just touching the earth, right? Directly, and just take three breaths, like three deep breaths, and see how that feels to just slow down and be present with the grass, with the ground, look at the sky, just be there for, I don't know, it'll take maybe 10 seconds, right? Start there. It's very simple, right? That's literally what you can do today. And, if you have kids, take them out with you. Have them come stand, take three breaths. We're not going to talk for 10 seconds. And that builds a habit for them as well. So that's the simplest way to start today. Now, the concept behind the spa, and I want to talk about it, is basically teaching you how to do these things too, right? Meditation, gentle yoga. We have somebody that, helps with assisted stretching, just doing some arts and crafts with your hands. We don't hydrate enough. I can't say enough to drink more water. And so that's where the IV hydration got added in. And there's so many, places where you can get like an IV drip. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it and don't want to stick, all your vitamins in every single one. Just a plain, normal saline is enough for you to get that hydration and not overdoing it, of course, but drinking water like with it. The first thing that I did in our space was get this like water fountain installed because I was like, there is no way that I'm not having open access for people to see one, that there is a water fountain here, that if whatever you're doing, you need to fill up your, bottle and be drinking water. And so that was kind of like the concept behind that, encouraging hydration. It says hydrate on it. So, and you have to pass by it to even get to my office. So you're seeing it, right? Every single time. So, getting the IV hydration, and we have an infrared sauna where the heat kind of penetrates from the inside out rather than like the stone saunas or the steam saunas, which make you sweat a lot and the guest again dehydrate you. This is a different technology that penetrates into from the inside out, so you're not sweating as much and not dehydrating at the same time, getting the same effects of like your muscles relaxing. And as your muscles relax, again, the same concept that you're letting go of some of the stress and trauma, right? Not only the other benefits that you get physically from that relaxation, right? Just the mental aspect of it. And I have actually seen other people do it and I love it. I'm usually, sometimes we'll be catching up on just social media as I'm in there, but I have seen people that come in just like sit down and meditate in the infrared sauna and take nice deep breaths. And I'm so impressed with those people that just take that time to again focus on their breath and just take that, you don't want to sit in there for more than 15 minutes. Take those 15 minutes to relax.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so that's kind of that concept behind that. And then something that I discovered and now I've added to my stretch and all of those routines is sound healing. So I don't know if you've heard of sound baths. It's not an actual bath. People hear it and they think that it's an actual bath. Like, what is it? No, it's actually just literally bathing in sounds and vibrations, right? So, the concept is using these Tibetan bowls and the sound produced from it, the vibration that's produced from it. Of course, sound is something that we're hearing all the time, right? But these sounds are more relaxing. And not only just that, the vibrations, the way they penetrate, again, we're, made of water. And so, the water vibrates and it actually stays in there. There's an entire science behind it. I would love for you to bring somebody that is actually an expert on this to come and explain the science behind it, because there's an entire science behind it. And like the vibration actually tends to stay with you and it is so relaxing. Again, you're doing your deep breathing, but also you're getting this vibration through your body and it helps you just kind of calm down. For me, one of the things with the bowls is that different frequencies, when they're playing those, I have this like different sound going through both my ears and my eyes start to move from one side to the other, kind of like an EMDR effect, which is a type of therapy where, eye movement is used for relaxation and bringing out things that might be bothering you, right? So they use it for more so trauma, bringing it out and processing and stuff like that. For me, in the moment, it's just something that might be bothering me that I haven't even thought about, that's what's causing me stress. And sometimes I'll cry during the session and let go of whatever it is that was bothering me. Sometimes it's as simple as something like being angry at my partner, for something. And I'll recognize that, oh, that's what like has been like stressing me out, and just be able to literally process that just within my mind and crying and letting go of it. So I think that that is just an amazing thing, which I have added to my routine. If not once a week, I'll actually take out time once a month to attend one, just so that I will be able to kind of recognize whatever is stressing me out that doesn't come out in therapy because it's not in my conscious, and the unconscious needs to be, kind of jolted a little bit. And then you want to go, of course, to the right person who has a lot of experience and knowledge and has done the training on these different frequencies, because there's a lot of people that have gotten bowls and there's just the bowl will play it and not nothing else. But there's all kinds of sound, modalities and instruments that they add into this, and they know exactly what frequency to play. And some people are just gifted and can pick up on where the energy is going in the room and like play accordingly. And so I'm lucky that somebody from the community had reached out and said, hey, I actually have this, little business that I started. I would love to have like a home for it. And she is incredible, like just absolutely gifted. And so I'm so thankful that she chose my space to come in and do this. But it's, I try to incorporate that into every single little mini vacation event that we create so that people can experience that relaxation. Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard of sound baths, but I don't think I knew as much, that you mentioned today. So I think it's very interesting. And maybe I will try to find an expert on that to come in about that. I know you have a podcast. Have you ever brought the sounds on it?
So no, because I don't practice
You don't do
it.
it. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know how to do it. I don't get into the realms of what I'm not an expert in, but Christine, who is the expert, she and I just haven't had our schedules, line up to where I am going to invite her to come and talk about it, because she knows she is not a physician. She's not trained in anything else except sound healing. but she's just very curious. She had, I believe, Hodgkin's lymphoma and is a survivor. And she discovered as she was recovering from that, that's when she discovered it was very skeptical, and then recognized how much it helped her let go of the mental side of it and even release some of the body stress and trauma that she was holding with it. And so she went and she does workshops still. Like I will be like, oh, do we want to plan an event this weekend? And she'll be like, I'm actually at my training. I'm just like, okay, wonderful. Go do your thing. And so I'm hoping that I will bring her on so she can actually explain and possibly have some bowls and instruments that she can play during the actual podcast episode.
Very cool. Yeah, you should do that. All right. So many high functioning professionals feel guilty about taking breaks. What would you say to them?
So, this is what I tell my patients and my friends. I always say that if you do not take time off for yourself or time out for yourself, not even off, right? If you don't take time out for yourself, your body will do it for you, right? There's so many people that will get sick because they're working too much. They're focusing on their work and nothing else, and go, go, go for everyone else around them except themselves. And people's bodies shut down. They get sick, they'll get physical ailments,
Mhm.
and it will shut down. You'll end up in the hospital, if not in your bed, and then you're forced to take a break, you know? And that break is going to be much longer and not good. You're not going to be relaxing during that break, and it will force you to take time away from work. And that's what I always try to tell, people, my patients and my friends, that slow down, take time for yourself. Like you taking out 30 minutes, an hour a day, or you taking out 3 hours, for like a mini event, like a mini retreat. Some places are calling it a mini retreat. I call it a mini vacation. Taking out that for yourself once a week, once a month is going to be way less time investment that you're doing rather than you getting actually physically sick and your body being like, okay, we're just shutting down. We're not going to do this.
Mhm. How do you see mental health evolving in the future to integrate more of these holistic and lifestyle-based practices?
Yeah, I'm really excited because so many therapists actually are starting to do that. A lot of them are trained in yoga or, yoga trainers, and they've started already incorporating even in their individual sessions at time, just like
Mhm.
simple yoga movements and meditation and stuff like that. And I'm just like so excited and happy about that, everyone's kind of recognizing that these things are important for our mental health, and just slowing down and doing small things during our regular life and activity is part of mental health. Yes, medication gets you to a certain point, therapy gets you to a certain point, but your physical activity, your body movement, and that doesn't mean necessarily you have to work out. Some people just can't due to physical reasons or whatever. You can literally be gardening something, planting something, painting, drawing, sitting down doing that, playing a musical instrument or learning one, doing something with your hands, right? And slowing down to do that, taking pictures, like I said, right? And that's one of the things that I had done to slow down. I just got myself a camera and started going out and taking pictures to slow down and breathe. And so, so these things are kind of getting incorporated, and a lot of therapists are bringing this up. A lot of doctors and psychiatrists, and they're bringing it up to to their patients, and that's what I have started really doing. I have to tell a lot of people, hey, I know you're asking me to get you off this medication, and I would love to have you off of this medication, but then you have to add these other things in your life that are going to slow you down and give your mind an opportunity to heal. That's what, medication is giving you an opportunity to actually do that as well. And so slow down, come, your anxieties come down to where you can come and sit down for, whatever, 30 minutes, an hour to take deep breaths. And so, the goal is always to get people off of medication. And sometimes, therapy alone isn't enough either, right? The combination of medication and therapy isn't enough. And so that's when We want people to come do these things for themselves. And, the sense of community as well in that situation, right? We had done this like little Mother's Day event where there was quite a few mothers that signed up. We were actually overbooked. We created space to get people to like come because they were asking. And, just the community that was formed that day, people just talking to each other and, recognizing what motherhood is like, even for mothers whose kids were grown and out of the house, and what that felt like. And then mothers that kids were younger, they were all having this conversation before and after the main event. So, especially the sound bath, that really helps people just kind of like access their unconscious. And then afterwards, just that conversation that happened and the sense of community that formed and connection that formed between all those mothers was just beautiful to watch.
That's amazing. So if somebody wants to take a mini vacation over at your spa, how do they find you or what do they do?
Yeah, so I say the best way to find me and see what's going on is on Instagram. The handle is fmp.mentalhealthspa, and that's the best way to see what the events are that are going on. But
Mhm.
they're also updated on the website, which is again fmpmentalhealthspa.com. The homepage, if you scroll down a little bit, has all the current deals and events, upcoming events, and little mini vacations that we sit down and actually think about, put a lot of thought into when we're creating these, to what sequence and what all the things are going to be that are going to be included in that particular event. And so they're carefully curated so that people can actually benefit from them. And so, those are two great plays. I'm also on Facebook, again, the spa pages at FMP Mental Health Spa. And then you guys are more than welcome to add me as a friend. I am very public and open. And it's just my name, Faryal Mallick. And, I'm happy to add you guys and kind of like keep you updated in that sense too. And so, yeah, I'm present and definitely available. Yeah.
Well, tell me about your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast is called How Are You Really? And that's one of the things that is very central to my practice and to the spa as well, right? Because we ask each other all the time, How are you? And people say, Fine. And then move on, right? How are you doing? And, that we don't really express how we're actually doing. And so to slow down and actually be like, how are you really, is like kind of like the theme that I've had overall for the spa and my practice. Even my patients, I'll ask them, how are you? And they'll be like, fine. Before starting to talk in therapy, the first answer is fine,
Right.
So I have to like tell them to slow down. No, no, no. How are you really? So that's the title of my podcast. Again, easy to find us on YouTube, at How Are You Really podcast. And it is available on Amazon and Spotify. I haven't been able to connect it to the Apple Podcast. At some point, I will be able to connect it to where it will be available, but it is available on all of these modalities. I have wonderful guests that have come on, psychiatrists, therapists, and we have a couple of survivors of, mental health illnesses and, stuff will be coming on, and we'll have these episodes as well. The conversations are very open. Of course, we do talk about science and we do talk about how certain things help, but they're very real conversations. People will be open about what they've experienced. Like the doctors and the therapists will talk about what their personal experience is. If they're talking about ADHD, they will talk about their kids that may have ADHD, right? So it's very open like conversations, just very raw and real, and not just the science behind it or tips and tricks of what you can do to help you, right? It's very real. People are getting real, very down to earth. So you can recognize that therapists, doctors, people also have these issues, right? And they go through this and have a lot of experience personally as well, not of course with every single thing or that our patient is going to present with, but we are human as well, and we do experience these things. And so it's a very human, concept and way to look at any, illness or problem.
I was definitely going to use the word human as well. So get it out
Yeah.
of my mouth. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before wrapping up?
No, like, I would love for people to take these mini vacations. I think that is the main thing that I really want people to do. And it's not just offered at my spa. There are other places that are offering these little mini events. They are, incorporating yoga and sound baths together in different areas. We started doing this at the beach as well. And so other places are also offering it at the beach at sunset. So you can actually absorb that part of nature as you're, experiencing these little mini vacations. And so, I know that Christine also does these on privately in like different parks so that you're around trees and that nature, that part of nature as well. So I just encourage people to come out and try these things. It doesn't have to be with my spa. It can be with any other place, right? To slow down, breathe, just take this time out for yourself. Bring your kids. Actually, my space has a little playroom because I am a child psychiatrist at the end of the day. So we have a playroom where kids can go relax. My office manager is actually my husband. He loves kids. And so he will go hang out with them in that room while something is going on, like, while the parents are enjoying their thing. Or some parents actually bring their kids into, these things. I had a little kid the other day that just went, and as I was finishing up, was in the massage chair and just relaxing. And so I went up there and I was like, hey, you ready? And this was the second cycle that they were doing on the massage chair. So, like bring your kids. Like we are open to kids. We're open to men because a lot of the times it's just like women, that are involved in these retreats or whatever. We say, come, please. We are open to men coming and taking care of themselves. And we do have men at times that come and join us. And so, just find places where you can go do that, Go take a painting class or go make a candle, do something with your hands.
Yeah. So if they wanted to do that or follow your event particularly, that would be on your website or
Mhm.
other stuff.
Yeah, they
Okay.
are on my
Great.
website and then they are also on Instagram. We
Great.
post these very often and the link to book is on there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Faryal. Thank you for coming on the podcast today and joining us. We'll put all that information in the show notes. And I want everybody to stay tuned next week for next week's episode of the Get Healthy Tampa Bay
All
podcast.
right. Thank you so much for having me.
As always.
Bye.